Welcome to the Crazy Agent Dinner Party. Part group therapy, part inspiration, entirely for real estate agents to dish on this crazy business we're in. And remember, real estate is crazy, and you don't have to be. Here are your hostesses with the mostesses, a combined 40 plus years in real estate, Coach Konversion Kourtney, and the real estate mom you never knew you needed, Amanda, the marketing mama. Our special guest today is R.H. Richards, real estate investor, entrepreneur, national team leader, co-founder of Investor Agent, and owner-CEO of Loan Mitigation Services. On today's menu, we're dishing up how to dominate a down market as an investor agent.
Thank you, Jenny. That's right. Exactly. Hey, y'all. How was your week? Did you dominate? Well, guess who's back again? RH to do a little bit of group therapy and a lot of inspiration. So you guys can hopefully sell more real estate and have way more fun doing it. We're so happy to have you back again.
It's good to be back.
Because this market does need some domination and we need some more feathers in our cap. So for starters, tell us about Investor Agent. What is that? What does it mean?
Yeah, in today's market, we have a major slowdown on the retail side. And in a down market, when the economy is suffering, there's a lot of distressed asset opportunities. And who usually comes in and cleans up the market are investors, real estate investors, from your top institutional hedge funds all the way down to your local mom and pops, just looking to grow rental portfolios. And so being an investor agent, being able to cater those buyers to find these opportunities, it allows you to bridge the gap into tomorrow's better days on the retail side.
That's awesome.
I'm excited to hear all about this because it's another opportunity to, like you said, put another feather in your cap, another opportunity for agents to be able to expand their business. And I know that I get a lot of questions like, where's the next foreclosure? Where's another opportunity? So I'm excited to have you here to explain and give us the lowdown on where to find those deals.
The consumer in general asks that question all the time. And you're like, if you don't know, then today you're lucky you're going to at least find out the tools or where to start and then go from there. So let's really dig into it. Let's dig into what happens when you get that question. Typically when you're a real estate agent, most real estate agents are like, I don't know, right? Like when you say that's a lot of the mentees that you have, they have no idea where to go.
Those agents are up against people like RH.
Right.
So
then your goose is cooked. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. You can smell fakeness a mile away as an investor. You can look at a real estate agent if they're trying to talk a big game and they're missing some points. I mean, at the end of the day, the investor's investing a lot of money, typically cash, and they're not trying to lose out on that investment. And so if you come across as someone that's not reliable or you don't know your stuff or your shit, then you're out, right? They'll smell that from a mile away, that commission breath you have, and then you're out. So you really got to know, you got to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk. So just understanding the landscape, understanding what their concerns are, understanding the fact that money needs to make money on this side of the game, it's hugely important. And
money needs to make money. I like that.
Yeah, and if you can do that, and you can do that with being very conservative in your numbers, not stretching the value of a property or limiting, saying, oh, it only needs $5,000 to remodel the home when it actually needs probably 30. You're gonna establish some credibility out there in the space, and you're gonna have some real buyers, like I said, from the largest institutions down the local mom and pop, leaning on you to find them the next best deal.
You know what I find super annoying sometimes is when an agent gives a quote oh, it only needs $5,000, and then it really does need $5,000 in every single room. If you don't know that to be true, please don't say it. That's one of the biggest, you know how I talk about tiny catastrophes all the time. That's number 5. And the top 5 things you don't want to do is don't answer questions that you don't know the answers to, and don't lie about it, obviously. So in terms of a property that needs some work or needs some help, as an investor agent or just as a traditional retail agent, don't give quotes on repairs unless you have a quote.
And it's okay not to
on the
know,
repair.
right?
You're never going to know all the things. You can find them out, but you're not. If you don't know it, don't say it.
Yeah.
Don't you agree? For sure.
So RH, let's talk about how do you find the deals, and how can somebody, an agent who hasn't worked with investors, how can they find the deals and get the knowledge? And
are they all off market? Is that really the niche?
That's the sexy word in the investment space is off market. Everyone thinks that's where the deals are, but as we were talking earlier, we've bought and sold a lot of properties, a lot of transactions, and most of those come right off the MLS. Wow. So if you're looking for good deals as an investor, Well, instead of spending $20,000 a month marketing, you can just be looking free on the MLS or having an investor agent, one of you, looking for them and finding deals. So,
yeah, you had mentioned 90%. Like that number blew me away because.
So how is that then? How are they avoiding? Yeah, how it's like hiding in plain sight, basically, right? How are they avoiding finding them? Or what's that one of those things that stands out for a house that's good for an investor?
We have a 4-step process, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But one of those steps is analysis, and there's a lot of paralysis by analysis, and that's where a lot of agents, it's exciting. This is an exciting niche in our space, right? Riches are in the niches, and so it's like, oh, I'm an investor agent, and just being a part of like something called investor is sexy and appealing, and that's great. But you have to understand the return on investment side of things,
right?
Like when you're looking, like I have so many agents come to us and are like, oh, I've got this great deal, and they're wanting to sell it at the Zestimate or retail, and just because an investor can buy it doesn't mean it's a simple numbers game.
Please do not quote this estimate for the love of all that's holy.
Right.
That's like the number one thing to not do.
And the thing about investors are they do not fall in love with the property themselves.
Right.
Okay. There might be 1 out of 1,000 where it's like, oh, I've got to have this. But for the most part, it's a numbers game.
Yeah. Like what is it? If it makes dollars, it makes sense, right?
It has to make an investment, and it has to make sense. And if it doesn't, then I don't care who's willing to sell it to an investor or where it's at or what it looks like. It's a great story, but it's not a buy.
Right. Great story,
and
but
I
not a
talk
buy.
about that too. I've, for me personally, I've tend to stay away from investors because I like the emotional piece of it. I like finding buyers a home. I like the memories the stories that they're creating in their home. And it was funny because we were talking about it the other day, and it was like, I like the emotional piece of it. And then I was like, investors, they don't have any emotion. They do though, right? You have emotion to the numbers. So then it's like, what do those numbers look like? What does the work look like?
Yeah.
Are you more of a buy and hold person? Are you more of a fix and flip?
One, I think, again, it's so circumstantial and situational. So anytime that I'm working with an investor, you immediately ask those questions. And then ultimately they always say, well, it just depends on whatever the property is. And so that's why you have to really be invested in your investor buyer. And so maybe you can be more invested as an agent if you learn how to be an investor agent.
I've always I've never done retail real estate. Okay, I understand it, could know how to do it, but I've always done the investment side of the space, and I like it because it's cash, it's fast. It's like an investor's like, oh yeah, this needs 30,000 work, no problem, we can knock that out, and we close in 2 weeks. Okay, great. And if it's a landlord, and like when we're in a down market, the number one investment strategy, like right now, and going into like the next year, new construction and home flipping, dead. Like that is not an investment strategy at all. Like no one's looking to buy a house, hang their hat on a future value when the market could potentially drop, right? And their buyer pool is so small. So landlords want to buy cheap, they get a good yield or a good cash flow return. And so they don't, again, they love the numbers, and a landlord can buy 5-10 properties a month from you. We've had institutional clients that were buying 20 properties a month off of us. So as an investor agent, you get in front of a buyer like that, you're doing pretty good business.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So does your program like connect them with those types of people, or just teaches them how to do that?
Teach you how to find them, get in front of them, talk to them, how to qualify them, right?
I think qualifying an investor is like such a huge,
it's huge.
a thing, and you really do. You need to know the questions to ask. You need to know the answers. If they give you a certain answer, how then to spin it or talk about that confidently, of course.
Sorry, everyone, and you're gonna come across a lot of fakes out there. Everyone wants to say they're a real estate investor. Okay, most of them are not, but many of them are. And again, you want to be the interviewer, you want to be the qualifier, and understanding what to ask them, because time is money, and I don't want to waste time. Right? I want to deal with people who want to buy.
Right.
And that's what you want to accomplish. You want to find out who's want to buy. So when you find exactly what they're looking for, we're pulling the trigger, right? And we're doing 5-10 deals a month. So understanding that. I mean, anyone here, they can go to joininvestoragent.com. That joins our free community. We have a free 101 course, and that free 101 course comprises of 4 stages or 4 steps. And here's how that looks. First, you want to find buyers. We show you how to find buyers, how to talk to them. But you want to find buyers because the buyer's going to tell you their buy box. And what that is, hey, where and what and how much and the year, what I'm looking for to buy as a rental property, right? So once you find out what they're looking for, now you go find the property. Now you know what to go actually look for. In your rainmaking, you're putting buyers and sellers together. But after you find the asset, we have to analyze the asset. And as mentioned earlier, there's a lot of paralysis by analysis, okay? And then after you analyze it, you want to present it. You got to know how to put that specific bow on it, the way the investor understands what you're selling them or the opportunity you're putting in front of them.
Right.
And then, I mean, I've sold hundreds of properties for investors through email because I know how to put a bow on it.
I was going to say, they're just like, don't tell me how the sausage is made. Just show me the meat. Pretty much, they're like, what?
They're out of
does
state,
it make sense? Let's do it.
They only have to see it.
Yeah.
They just, property manager handles it after they buy it. I mean, it's done. And as long as your numbers are conservative and they can rely on your numbers, I mean, if they're making money, they're just going to come back time and time again.
Correct.
So a lot of
if they know that you can deliver.
Right.
And that's really like that sweet spot when you get in the groove with an investor and everything is copacetic. Like that's such a good one to get.
In the retail space, you're relying on buyers or them to purchase another home 2 to 6, 5 to 7 years, whatever that looks like. For a landlord or an investor, I mean it's 5-10 times a month, right?
Depending on the investor, absolutely.
Right. So it can be very fast, and if you get a nice acquisition stream going, then you can do a lot of business.
So we could talk about complaints for people. So my agents that have investors or have been given the opportunity to work with investors will say, oh, they're unrealistic. They want to get it for so much lower. What do you say to that? What is that? What's the comeback to that? Because I'm like, well, they have a bottom line.
So I had a conversation with an agent today, and we were talking about transactions just 2 days ago. We engaged, and the list price is I would say I think it's like $560, right? And we came in at $421. Okay, a lot of people would assume that's a low ball. Nice big home in Claremont, right? But we're not buying it as a flip. We're buying it to rent. So again, I need to analyze that. I need to see, okay, if I were to buy this and it needs a lot of work, needs like $50,000 of work. So after I put that 50 in, what can we rent it for? And what does that return on investment look like? If it's just, and we can like analyze this different ways, gross and net cap. But on a gross, if it comes out to like 6%, the net cap is like 2%. An investor can just go put their money on Home Depot or a blue chip stock in the stock market and not worry about all the bullshit that comes with real estate investing, right?
Yeah.
So these agents, they try to push this stuff and it's like, hey, listen, the price has to be this because it has to at least bring like a 7% return, right? Instead of the buyer wanting to go just to the stock market. So again, it's simple numbers.
But it's very specific to the particular property and like the particular, like what does the seller have going on?
Do you have, because you're a data person, do you have numbers on how many offers that you have to submit to be able to find that one offer that gets accepted?
Yeah. So what we talked earlier, a previous company, we purchased over 1,500 properties here in Orlando as investors, right? We bought and then we sourced those to institutions and we kept them ourselves. But to do that 1,500, we had to put offers on, that's a 10% conversion rate. So probably 15,000 offers we had to make to acquire that many properties. So,
but hey, a 10% conversion rate is actually pretty good.
Yeah. So if you make 10 offers and you acquire one of those, okay, it's good, right? So it's a numbers game in terms of finding opportunities, offering, networking with the listing agents, talking the talk, right? But you have to really know how to analyze. And our company, Investor Agent, we have a lot of strong qualified buyers. And so to be an investor agent, you just don't have to deal with buyers. A real feather in your cap is just identifying different distress types, getting in front of these opportunities. And then if you have paralysis by analysis or you don't know how to talk the talk or walk the walk, just go to agentoffer.com. You can bring us the deal. You can submit the deal. We'll analyze it with you. We'll calculate the return on investment with you. And we'll bring a buyer. We'll buy it ourselves or we'll bring a buyer to the table.
How do you compare yourself to, what is it, like cash offers?
OfferPad
right?
and all that kind of stuff.
How do you...
Well, how we differentiate? No. I mean, listen, we do as is. We do no closing costs, no commissions. Now, if you're a listing agent or investor agent, we'll make sure you get paid your commission, your 3% on the listing side, or just bring this to deal. But we want to make the offer very attractive, just like these cash people, right? And as is, no closing costs, no commissions, what have you. That's attractive, and we do that as well. But you're dealing with a company, not just someone working out of their car or their house. You're dealing with investor agent, where we've analyzed over 15,000 properties. We've actually purchased over 1,500 ourselves as investors. We've done several hundred other investment transactions.
You don't do this for practice.
Yeah, this is what we do.
Yeah.
Right? And we nail it.
Yeah.
And so we don't miss on these. As far as our numbers, we don't miss. We analyze, we cross everything, we dot everything. And if you bring us a deal, like I said, we'll analyze it together, we'll calculate together, and you'll kind of understand the rationale, the ideology behind the offer.
Yeah, and I don't know if you just do it for me because you were friends or whatever, but like it was really relatively easy. I'm like, this is what I got going on, and it didn't fly for that particular seller, but it might in about 3 months maybe. You never know. And again, real estate is a long game, you guys.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you do get that seller that's like, all right, well, I got to do what I got to do. Or now you have at least that bit of information. And if you keep following up, if you keep like showing them, hey, I have a vested interest in what is the outcome, what's your real estate journey comprised of, and how can I help you get there? That's really how you have to start looking at these opportunities rather than, oh, I couldn't make it happen. Well, yeah, maybe. And then what can you make happen?
Yeah. And just understanding so in a 10-year market cycle where it goes up and down, there's 4 stages. And in every stage, there's a whole different supply demand, particular investment strategy. Like in a down market, it's a lot of landlords, and then that grows to home flippers, and then enter new construction. And so you have to know exactly what strategy works best in the slice of market we're in current day.
Yeah.
And then what do those returns look like or need to be for the average investor? And so once you can understand that, and again, if you don't understand that or you get kind of bottlenecked on that, that's fine. Just bring us the deal, agentoffer.com. Submit the deal. We'll walk it, with you, and we'll buy it or sell it.
And give some projection too. And
Yeah.
I think that's really because again, you've been in the business as long as we have, and so we've been through a few cycles, quite a few actually, and you just know. And
so you mentioned your 4-step program. So
Right.
it's find the buyer. So you could be potentially the buyer, right? Find the deals.
Yeah, we could tell you exactly what we're looking for, and you could go out there and find a deal, and it's done.
And then find the deals, and then what's 3 and 4?
Well, then you want to analyze the deal.
Got it.
Right? And you have to, understand the investment strategy and then the scope of repairs per that strategy and the analysis, the ROI per that strategy. And that's where some people get bottled.
yeah, because again, it's so many different variables. So like in the most recent one that he and I talked about together, it was an unfinished new construction, and so that when you think about like, okay, well, it's like construction costs when it's going to be finished, and then that's projecting down to November, and then what are we looking at in November? There's so many things that go into it, and so rather than like freak out about it, utilize a service that does this full time all the time.
On that particular deal, and I'm just kind of thinking of it in general terms, but there's a lot of work that still need to be done, right? I think it was down to the stud, is that right?
Yeah, there's like $300,000 at least worth of work to do.
Yeah, and the cosmetic side of a huge house like that, I mean, it takes a shit ton of money to finish
and
that
effort.
project. And then, so not only do you have to spend 4-6 months finishing that job, then it might sit on the market another 3, 4, 5 months to find a buyer with a
the
buyer
type
pool
of price
right now
point,
super small.
Right.
It's such a high risk for an investor to get into that kind of deal. So either they need it really cheap to hedge against a loss,
Right.
and that's where 2 years ago, investors were offering 80% on the dollar.
Yeah, that's pretty much like
Now they're probably on cash deals, they're probably offering 60%.
really.
Yeah, they'll offer 60%.
That's a
so
huge
if the house
jump.
is worth $100,000, they'll offer 60,000, and they'll back out repairs after that. So if they need 15 in repairs, they're offering 45 grand.
Dang.
But that's what that's pretty much the equation right now.
Wow, that's it.
So don't see it as a low ball. A lot of people in the retail space say, it's a low ball. Well, if you're not in the numbers game and you've never put your own money on the line and lost it big like I have, we've made it as well, but if you haven't lost it, then you really don't know what we're talking about. And that's where you're really invested.
Right.
You could lose the shirt off your back on one miss.
Well, and I think honestly, you really do have to look at it from somebody else's perspective if you've never done it. Understanding like what actually has to happen instead of taking it personally if you do get a quote unquote lowball offer. One, I don't know if this is you guys, but one thing that drives me insane when I get a new listing and like the minute it hits the market, I get like 15 lowball investor offers. Is that something that you guys do the minute it hits the market? I just feel like that's not the right time to
again,
like if we just hit the market, can you you're taking down 30% immediately? Like, can you just wait until it's, or maybe it's just a numbers game to them
just
too.
like this agent the other day, or I was talking about a couple days ago, she goes, that's too low RH. And I go, actually, it's not.
Yeah.
And I broke it down, and I itemized it. I laid it out for her, and I go, here's why. So as long as I can make an argument, or I can lay out why the number is what it is, I feel good about it.
Me too.
And if they want to call lowball, that's fine.
And I've even done that on a traditional retail deal, and 86 days later, they took that offer that we initially gave them, and they knew that what I was talking about was true.
There's so many times, as investors, we love to have lines of bait in the water. And there are plenty of times an agent's like, oh, it's too low. I'm like, hey, that's fine. I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
I hope you get a better offer.
You
but
know,
if not,
have you still
my
like that
cash
offer?
offer is right here for you.
Right.
And guess what? So many people too.
It happens, yeah.
We'll We'll take it. Damn right you'll take it. You know,
Well, and
you're not getting anything else.
And honestly, there's not, especially if, remember guys, like, what is it, 75% of agents sell 5 or less homes a year. That's true. That's real. That's our industry. And so maybe they are not equipped to really do that negotiation, do that dance with the seller, because they're not thinking about it from somebody that does have high volume. And so they're nervous. And
and it is important to be able to understand the numbers, what goes behind it, when that
it's not emotion, right?
it,
Instead of
and it's not.
It's data.
And I believe even on the other end, if somebody gets the offer, it's important for that agent to know and not have the seller get emotionally attached to it, right?
Well, and that's why our job is hard, because of the emotion. But it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, you just have to bring some. You have to just, let the seller understand why this offer is what it is and why it makes sense. Every seller with a beat up house wants the Zestimate.
Everybody
3
wants
years ago
something.
it's gone.
And honestly, the Zestimate is so crazy and weird. Like sometimes it's 80 grand lower, sometimes it's 200 grand higher. Like you never know.
We call the Zestimator those AVMs. We call those the quick and dirties. I mean, it's a quick value, right?
Yeah.
It's not spot on. It's kind of dirty.
The last 2 that I sold were, one was 75 under on the Zestimate and one was like 84 under.
Yeah.
Like that's so much money to not have in their pockets that luckily we did get them in their pockets. Don't go by the Zestimate, and don't let your people go by the Zestimate.
Well, that's the disconnect right now. Sellers want top. They're still on Mars, and buyers have come down to Earth.
Yeah.
Because buyers are still like, hey, this doesn't make sense.
Right.
And sellers are still like on this ferry ride, right? Back during COVID, and it's like that's over. That's
It is.
gone.
I feel like it's getting a little bit more level, but luckily, the more that they sit on the market, the more that they start
Get
playing.
more realistic about what the current market is.
How's it over in Denver?
And I feel like it's the agent's responsibility too to have that conversation that we aren't in the same market that we were
100%.
even a year
You
ago,
can't just
right?
definitely not even a year ago.
Even
Yeah.
from month to month, right? Because like October
Right.
or August has historically been just a down for us in Colorado, like a down time. And it's never a good idea to list your home in August because people are getting ready for school. They're going back to school.
They're
back on
distracted, yeah.
vacations, They're distracted.
Yeah.
And so even month to month, it's important that the agent knows what the market is.
Yeah, like
right?
May Day is a heyday. Like that's
Especially
a
now,
great
right?
time to. Yeah, I know.
Especially
It's
now.
wild. It's wild. You just have to really we talked to Miranda Katie about being involved every single day into knowing your market and doing the data and knowing what the data is actually saying in order to negotiate with your sellers.
Yeah, guide the sellers. And so for the last bite, I want to just touch on the important facts of it may be like gloom and doom for a lot of agents right now, and most agents just sell 5 or less homes. And so we want to offer the opportunity that there is so many opportunities out here. And so there's investor agent opportunities. You can work with investors. You can work with RH. There's opportunities for short sales. So there is, no matter what market that we're in, there is always going to be an opportunity to buy and sell homes.
Yeah, and
to
that's
help your clients buy and sell homes.
absolutely. And the more you know, the more you earn. The more you learn, the more you earn. And I really do love when RH comes to visit because he's got a wealth of information, 2 decades like us in the business, and another feather in your cap that you can absolutely. Thank you, Jenny. She's letting us know our time's almost up. Another feather in your cap that you can really dig into, but with actual direction and not just a Pied Piper promising things. But here's the work involved. Here's the ROI. And then go from there.
And I'd like to add too that it does take consistent effort because how many people, like you said, 10 deals for one, 10 offers for one, like that's not going to be like every Monday you shoot out 10 offers and you're going to get that one deal. Like it is consistent effort. You have to put in the work regardless of whatever you do. You have to put in the work.
And I think you also have to measuring the data, especially with an investor. You really should love that part of it.
I was like, is he gonna know this answer here?
Of course he is.
Of course he is. He's a numbers guy.
He is, and he knows them very, very well.
One thing we mentioned on a previous show, but in a down market, you want to have that investor agent golf club in your bag, right?
Yeah.
The retail club that you've been crushing the ball with, that game's over, or it's just slowing down major, right? So if you can put that club away and grab your investor club and go do 60 closings a month like we were when everyone else was suffering, that's strong.
That is
right?
strong.
So if your business is suffering, you can pivot.
Yeah. Don't just putt. Hey.
Yeah, the
I'll be here all
driver.
day.
He's talking about the driver.
I know. And I'm like, I don't know about golf. I can drive a golf cart.
We're all about crushing the ball.
I mean, I love that. I love having you got to have a plan, man. You got to, if you're fishing, you got to know when to cut bait and know when to
That's right.
move your line for sure.
And so for the to-go box, RH, would you like to just give an idea of like what you'll offer for the to-go box?
Well, you can. We have a free course, right? A free 101 course when we can go over how to find the buyers, how to find deals, right? How to analyze the deals, and how to present the deals to those clients. Which
This is a
really
free
small.
course?
Yeah,
It's a
that's
free
amazing,
course.
right?
It's a foundational course that we offer for free. If you go to joininvestoragent.com, you can join our community. You can find that free course in there, and then you can follow us on social. Join Investor Agent. Stay in touch with us. Again, if you have a deal here locally or in the state of Florida, you go to agentoffer.com. Submit it. We can analyze it together. We can get it closed and get you paid.
Yay.
That's great.
Because you know why? Real estate is so crazy.
And you don't have to be.